Hi, everyone. Welcome to Navigating Dahlia. My name is Jonathan. I'll be one of the presenters today. Thank you so much for your participation. Just want to let you know this is being recorded. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. I'll be on YouTube. All right, so we're going to talk about Navigating Dahlia today. And we also have Melissa from the city. She's the marketing and lottery program manager of the program. And my agency is called Balance. I'm one of the HUD approved housing counselors at Balance. Okay.
Balance.
So I want to inform everyone that closed captioning is available for this presentation. Closed captioning is like subtitles, and you can choose your preferred language. If you're joining us with your personal computer, you can click on the show caption icon at the bottom of your screen. And you can also choose the caption language after you click show captions. If you're joining us through your cell phone or tablet, you can click on captions. And then the next step is to enable show captions. And then the last step is to choose caption language and click save. Okay. If any one of you have any audio issues, you can please feel free to use the closed captioning function out there. So before we dive into the main content of today's presentation, I'd like to take a moment to go over some housekeeping items here. First of all, again, this workshop is being recorded for the HSF YouTube channel. We're gonna have a Q&A session at the very end, so please remain on mute until the end. We will address your questions. You can also put your question in the chat for the Q&A session later on. If you have any technical issues, let us know in the chat or email Cherie at homeownershipsf.org. All right, so again, thank you so much, Homeownership, for setting this up. So Homeownership SF is a coalition of 5 San Francisco-based housing counseling agencies. We have Asian Inc. and my agency Balance, SF LGBT Center, Meta, and SFHDC. We all share one goal, which is to assist you in achieving your housing goals. So again, my agency is called Balance. We are one of the HUD-approved housing counseling agency based in San Francisco, but we also provide services to the people outside of San Francisco. So besides providing housing counseling session and hosting home buyer workshops and webinars, we also provide debt management services, credit report review, and financial coaching. If you want to learn more about services, please feel free to call us at 1-800-777-7526 or the 415 number, 415-788-0288. So we do credit counseling, housing counseling, and rental counseling. All right. So I'm going to pass the mic to Melissa, and Melissa will be presenting for the following slides. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Cherie.
Thanks. Thanks so much, Jonathan. Welcome, everybody, today. My name is Melissa Cardoza. I work at the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development. And I'm so happy that so many of you were able to join us today. There's over 50 of you out there, so welcome, everybody. And I also want to shout out Colette Mobison, who's also here from my team. Colette and I predominantly work on Dahlia, which is our housing portal, and that's what we're going to go through today. This is a pretty high-level workshop on Dahlia and the different features in Dahlia. Dahlia is the way you apply online for our affordable housing opportunities. So DAHLIA stands for Database of Affordable Housing Listings, Information, and Application. And DAHLIA can be found at housing.sfgov.org. It was named after the official flower of San Francisco. You might have not known, but San Francisco has an official flower. And so we named our website after the flower. And so it's very easy to find. If you forget the web page, you can always type in the word Dahlia in your Google search, and it should be the first thing that comes up. You can type in Dahlia Housing, and it will definitely be the first thing that comes up. Okay, so in our housing portal, it is a one-stop resource, which means that you can apply for all affordable housing lotteries on Dahlia directly through the website. And it was really built to be used on your smartphone. All of the testing we did was through the smartphone and through tablets. And we used many different types of users who don't have a lot of experience using a phone, users who, only have a phone. That's where they're getting all of their digital information. So we try to make it as easy as possible. There are certain features on the website that you can sign up for. I'm going to go through them in a minute. Actually, can we go back? Yep. One is the email housing alert, which can be found at the bottom of the screen, right where that arrow is. And that's where you can sign up to get an alert every time there is a housing opportunity on Dahlia. So every time we have a new listing for either rental or home ownership opportunities, you can find that in that red arrow on the very bottom. In the top black tab, or actually in the top black banner, you'll see that there are 4 languages there. The entire website can be translated from English to Spanish to traditional Chinese characters to Filipino. Those are the 4 official written languages in San Francisco, and the entire website, as well as the electronic applications, can be found in those 4 languages, I should say. Another great feature is that arrow towards the top that says sign in. You can set up a Dahlia account. We encourage everyone to set up an account, and more than 70% of users do have an account. This is to help you keep very organized. All of your applications will be in one place. All of your lottery results will be in one place. And it also helps to avoid duplicate applications, which can cause a slowdown in getting to the lottery. So just sign up for an account. All you need to do is put your name, your email address, and create a password for yourself. You can save that on your phone, and then it's very easy to get into the system. Okay. In Dahlia, there are going to be 2 types of listings. There are going to be listings for rental units, and there are going to be listings for home ownership units. They pretty much look the same, but there's some key features that are different, which I'm going to go through today in just a little bit. But just so you know, a listing is like you see on the screen, and it'll have a picture or 3 of each building, and it'll have very specific information about the building, about the eligibility rules in the building. There'll be links to see a virtual tour or a list of times when you can go do an open house. There'll be the lottery preferences. There'll be a link right before the lottery to view the lottery. This morning, Colette and I did a lottery for our first educator building, and the link was on there, and we had 40 people watching us as we ran the electronic lottery. So there's lots of information that we talk about during those electronic lotteries. You're always welcome to join. Because the lotteries can take anywhere from just a few minutes to an hour and a half to run, depending on how many people applied. So we fill that time with really giving out information about the programs and about the building that we're talking about. All of the lottery results are available immediately after we run the lottery. So we run the lottery and the lottery results will pop up immediately after it's run. There, you will find out at the same time we find out. There is nothing that happens behind the scenes. So the lottery results will be right in the listing, and there will be a blue button there that will say view lottery results, and you can check your lottery results right from our website. You can also go to your account and the lottery results will be there as well. There is a lots of eligibility information in each listing. There's the amenities and a map of the building, and there is always contact information for a leasing agent or a sales agent who is responsible for the unit to answer your questions. There is a real life person there who we require to be put onto the listing. They are tasked with answering emails and answering phone calls about the building. Next slide. Thanks. Okay, actually, let's go to the next slide after this. This is a little out of order. So now we're gonna I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and we're gonna go through the tutorial like I spoke about. So hold on 1 second and I'm gonna pull that up for all of us. Okay. So can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so here we are on Dahlia, and I'm gonna help you navigate through it. So here are the buttons, rent and buy. I'm gonna go into our rental button, and I'm not sure if I can move this banner. Here we go. So here, always at the top, are all of the marketing units. The marketing units means they're available for you to apply right now. They have an upcoming lottery. All the deadlines can be found right here. And then on the side, there is very high level information about the building. It's a small summary of the income ranges and the rents, and of course, the units that are available. If the listing says available, that means they're currently vacant and we are trying to fill the unit immediately after the lottery. And if it says wait list, it means that your name will be put on a wait list, or at least the top 500 names will be put on the wait list, and then they will be contacted as there are vacancies. So there are two different types of buildings. There are buildings that have a lottery every time there's a vacancy. Those are called inclusionary buildings. They are units in market rate buildings like L7. And then they will only have one unit available or a handful of units available. And there are units in our 100% affordable program, meaning that every single unit in the building is affordable, and we are going to run a wait list for that building, and the building will use that wait list for 3 to 5 years to fill any vacancies. So I'm going to go into a building that I on Dahlia this morning. You might have received an email housing alert. There is a virtual tour right here that you can view the unit. And then when you go into this section, this is the eligibility section. So if you're a 3-person household, you can click open the accordion and you will see that there is one unit available. It is a 2-bedroom unit, and there's an income range. The income range is has a minimum income, which is always 2 times the rent, and a maximum income, which is based on the area median income chart for 2024 in San Francisco. This unit is 55% area median income, and this is the maximum you can earn in your household to be eligible for the unit. Okay, if you're a 3-person household. That information, which can sometimes feel complicated, is right down here in a little bit easier chart to look at. So again, if you are a 3-person household, the maximum you can earn per month is $6,179, and the maximum annual income is $74,150. And as long as your gross income does not go over this amount, you would be eligible for the unit that's available right here. The unit is a set rent amount, and that's the amount you would pay. So even if your income fluctuates, you would still be required to pay this amount. Okay, here's the contact information for our leasing agent. And as we go down, there's information on occupancy for the unit. This is a 2 to 5 person occupancy for this 2-bedroom unit. Children under 6 do not count towards maximum occupancy. So if they had 6 people in this household and one of them was a toddler under the age of 6, they would still be eligible for this 2-bedroom unit. That is city law. In the next section, there are preferences. We have a whole preference presentation later on this week, I think later on today. And so I'm not going to go through the preferences, but all the preference information is here, as well as links to each of the different types of preferences. And then there is information on the credit history, rental history, and criminal background. For the building, criminal background checks are always done at the very end of a rental lease up when they're reviewing your file, and they're always in compliance with the Fair Chance Ordinance, which is a city law. More information about the building can be found in the building selection criteria, which is again a very specific document to the building, which you can read, especially if you're in the lease up. If you're a housing counselor out here listening in, the building selection criteria is really important for you to read if you're helping your clients apply for affordable housing and lease up. All of the rules are there. And then in here is the information specific to the building, the pet policy, the property amenities, accessibility features, the unit information, and the fees. At the very bottom, we have the neighborhood. Here's a map. You can interact with the map. It's a Google map. And then more information. At the very bottom, we'll have the manual assigned to the building. The building, if it's an inclusionary building, has a procedures manual for the inclusionary program. And if it's 100% affordable building, it will have a manual specific to the state rules, which is the TCAC manual, the tax credit manual. Okay, so I quickly went through the rental program, and I'm just going to quickly go through the home ownership program so you can see the difference. If you're interested in purchasing a below market rate unit in San Francisco, you would click buy. And then this, the very beginning gives you your sort of roadmap for applying for those below market rate units. You want to have all of these with you before you start the process. It's rental, you can apply right away. There's not a lot that you need except a document proving that you live or work in San Francisco if you want that preference. But for home ownership, it's a little bit more work. You do have to follow these requirements to be eligible. You have to check the eligibility of the unit that you're applying for. You have to do a home buyer education with one of our housing counseling agencies, and you have to get a pre-approval from one of our approved lenders. So all of that information is in here. There's also a link to the full requirements, and it is a little bit more checks in your checklist to get done, but it is so worth it to purchase in San Francisco. I cannot tell you how great these units are and how great it is to be able to own in San Francisco. So all of those units are right here. You can look through them. I'm going to scroll all the way down to 400 China Basin. This is a building I've worked on, so I feel most comfortable in this listing. It has a few renderings of the building. This is our first 100% affordable building that we have been able to post on Dahlia. So that is really exciting that every single unit is for sale and below market rate. They have a handful of tours coming up, as well as their renderings for the building. Everything is all right in here, easy to get to. Again, if you're looking for a unit, you can open up the accordion and it will give you lots of information. It will tell you how many units are available. So there's 10 one-bedrooms and 11 two-bedrooms available at 80% AMI. It will give you the maximum income range that you can earn. There's no minimum requirement for a home ownership opportunity. The sales ranges are here for with or without parking for the units. Each unit is priced separately. And so that's why there is a range here, because it depends on the unit that you would choose. And the home ownership association dues are also here because they're priced separately depending on the unit size. So that information is right there for you. And then as we scroll down, we see a lot of the same information about eligibility. The charts are here. The occupancy is here. A little bit different occupancy. We just have a minimum requirement. The preferences are here. One really great thing about this listing is that certificate of preference descendants can apply. So that is listed right here so to let them know that they're eligible. And then there are priority units in this building. So we have 9 units set aside for people who need accessible features for mobility impairments, and 4 units set aside for people who need features in their units for people who are vision or hearing impaired. And additional features are in here, very specific features are listed, the policies for the building, more unit information, all the units are listed, neighborhood information, and then the actual CCNRs, which are the restrictions for the homeowners association, are also attached here. So lots of information, lots of good information in here to determine if you want to move forward and apply for this lottery. It is such a great opportunity. And talk to your housing counselor at the Housing Expo coming up this weekend to really get to know more about this great program. Okay, as we've gone through many of the features and the listings in Dahlia, I'm going to have Homeownership SF start sharing their screen again so we can talk a little bit more about the slides that I have. Great. So a few other opportunities on Dahlia are first come, first serve. So if you're ready to either purchase or start renting immediately, maybe you are in a situation where you cannot wait for the lottery, you cannot wait to apply for the lottery and then wait for the lottery, you can definitely apply for our first come, first serve opportunities. For rental, you can find the first come, first serve opportunities under the additional housing opportunities section in Dahlia. And then where that red button is where you'll find the rental opportunities. There's a list of units that are vacant and available right now. And as soon as you apply, within a couple of days, the leasing agent will reach out to you so that you can contact them and start the lease up process. Next slide. Great. And if you are ready to purchase a unit right now, we have quite a few home ownership opportunities all across San Francisco under our first come, first serve button. That is right under all of the listings. And it's right in the buy section on Dahlia. It will take you to our other website, SF.gov, and you will see all of the available units for purchase below market rate. And you can work with our office to get your paperwork in and get started right away. Okay, if if this process seems overwhelming to you or you need some help with your current housing situation, you have some questions about housing, you can contact our housing counselors. Jonathan kind of went through the services that Balance has, but all of our housing counselors are listed on Dahlia. We could not do this without them. They are our partners, and they really help on the ground to make sure households get the services that they need to be able to, get into one of these units. And so if you do need a housing counselor, you can either contact Homeownership SF. Their contact information is in on Dahlia. And also, if you need a specific language, you can also filter the housing counselors by the language that you prefer to use. So if you speak Arabic, you can filter the list and the housing counselors at Bishop will pop up, and then you can contact them for services. So all of not only the city languages, but all of the languages spoken at the housing counseling agencies are listed on Dahlia. Okay. And here are the housing counselors. Again, you can take this information. It will be available in the reporting and on the Home Ownership SF website. But if you need the information right now, I would suggest you just go to Dahlia, our website, and just go to Get Assistance at the top right, and all of this information will be in there as well. Okay. Okay. If you feel like you learn easier through videos and you just need a short video to go over, you're not quite sure about something, we have a YouTube channel that is managed by Homeownership SF, and we have quite a few videos on there that you can look at to just give you an idea of, how things work. And one of those videos we're going to show right now, and it's specifically of how the lottery works. So I'm going to have Homeownership SF go back to that slide that's embedded in the deck and show us that. Yep, and there we go. And let's see this video.
Melissa, there's no sound.
Yeah, there is no audio, but I'll talk about that. Okay, so there's some adorable music that goes along with that. But that's about it. You can go ahead and stop, Sherry. But there is no actual words that go along with that. That's just it's just adorable music. That's it. So sometimes when you share for YouTube, you can't hear the sound. But let's go ahead and stop the video and go back to the slide. I think you can press escape. There you go. Okay. And if we can go down to past these first come first serve slides. Okay. And one more, keep going. Okay. So, go back one slide, please. There we go. So if you have questions about your about Dahlia, the housing preferences, about affordable housing in general, you can contact our office, the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development. Colette will put that contact information in the chat, but that is our main email that goes to Colette and I and other people at our office, and we're pretty quick about getting back to you. You can also visit Homeownership SF if you have additional questions about your personal situation, if you need help with your housing search, if you have a landlord issue and need to be directed to more information, you can contact them as well. That's their website, and there's lots of great resources and information on their website. Okay. And I think we have one more slide.
I think that's my slide over there.
Okay.
This slide. Thank you, Melissa. So I just want to welcome everyone to join the Housing Expo this Saturday. So the Homeownership SF Housing Expo 2024 is one of the largest annual affordable housing resource fair in San Francisco. So we have all these housing counseling agencies and professionals to basically introduce you what are the resources out there. We also provide in-person counseling sessions at the fair. So yeah, so you can go on to homeownershipsf.org/housing expo to sign up for this event. It's completely free. It's gonna be in the Bayview this Saturday, May 18th. Okay, so please go ahead and sign up on homeownershipsf.org's website. Again, it's completely free, and we have a lot of great resources, great people, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you over there. All right, so we also have a workshop evaluation survey. We appreciate it if we can provide any sort of feedback to us. And right now it's a time to address some of the questions in chat. So feel free to type in your questions in the chat, and we try to address as many questions as possible using the remaining time. So the first question we have here is, do assets have to be reported? If so, what needs to be reported, and what are the asset limits? Are you talking about rental or home ownership? And that's a question from MG.
So they responded both.
Sorry. Melissa, you wanna answer this question, or?
Sure. For rental housing, it really depends on the program. There are different rules for our inclusionary program, as well as our 100% affordable program, which administers the state rules. And so you want to look in the procedures manual that is linked at the bottom of the listing. So as I went through the listing, I showed you at the very bottom, it says important information, and there is a link to the manual for whichever program applies to that building, and all of the asset rules are in those manuals. So the procedures manual, inclusionary procedures manual has rules for the rental and ownership programs that are coming through from market rate buildings where you have set aside for below market rate units. And then the 100% affordable program has its own manual, and it's called the TCAC manual, tax credit manual, and it has its own rules for assets. There's lots of different types of assets. So it just really depends on what the asset is. That's a very specific question, but it really depends. And there's some exceptions in there as well.
Yeah, I want to ask something on this. When you're trying to apply for, let's say, a BMR homeownership opportunities on Dahlia, usually you are required to complete a 10-hour first-time homebuyer education. And during the webinars and the counseling sessions, the housing counselor will be able to explain to you what is going to be reported. And we might also have to adjust your income based on how much assets you have. But we will get into details when you schedule the counseling session with the counselor. Yeah. The next question is, what if one is retired? Do you need to show gross income? So retirement, pension, social security, those are considered income. You will still need to report it when you apply for these properties on Dahlia. They are considered source of income. The next question we have is, can you please explain the difference between slots and units? And then Colette already explained, slots are usually referring to waiting list spots. Units are referring to available vacant units. And then Jimmy asked, if I'm 67 years old and receiving Social Security that does not meet income eligibility, is there any program to get a rental? So from what I know, right now, there are 3 agencies provide rental subsidy for seniors or the aging demographic. One of the agencies it's called Self-Help for the Elderly. The other one, it's Catholic Charity, and I think the last one, it's Eviction Defense Collaborative. If you are a senior or you are a person with disability, you can reach out to those agencies to apply for this long-term rental subsidy. And on Dahlia, there's also affordable housing list for seniors and people with disability. And can we have the survey link put in the chat? Sherry, can you paste the survey link in the chat, please? And then what's the next question? If you missed the presentation, you can find it on Homeownership SF YouTube channel. And like I said at the beginning of this presentation, this is being recorded, and eventually it will be uploaded to their YouTube channel. So Jennifer has a question: for the rental lotteries, does the corresponding housing programs regarding rent price for a 1-year lease, or will the rental price change based on months or years requested? Melissa, you want to answer this question?
Yeah, so most of our affordable housing rental units have an annual lease. You would fill out that lease every year. and there would be an possible increase in rent. Most of the time there is about a 4% increase every year. Most of the buildings continue to have annual leases every year that you sign. But some buildings do go month to month, but the increase is only once a year.
Awesome, thank you. Another one is, can undocumented immigrants apply for rental units?
Yes, so all of the units in Dahlia are units available to everybody. There is no immigration review. The only units that the only program that looks at immigration are HUD programs, federal programs. Those are mostly senior buildings that have where you only pay 30% of your income, and there is no minimum income for those buildings. Those HUD programs require immigration review. And so those are the only ones. And that is, if that is the case, we do put that information in the important information section at the bottom of the listing to let you know that that is a HUD building and they are following HUD rules.
Thank you. So someone asked, they've been applying for affordable housing all over the Bay Area for the past 4 years. And there's no openings, and they are actually more expensive there than their current rent. What are they supposed to do?
So the units that are listed on Dahlia are considered general population units. They are units that are anywhere most of the time between 50% AMI and 120% AMI, which is a range. You can look at the charts to sort of see the rents that correspond to that. If you're looking for lower AMI units, you can contact the housing authority, you can contact the housing counselor to see your options. But most of the units in Dahlia are between 50% AMI and 120% AMI because they go through the lottery process. Very low income units are considered referral units, and they are being filled through agencies, through nonprofits and city agencies, from different programs. But the ones that we have on Dahlia are for the general population.
So Jeffrey said that he previously applied for one of the properties in 2022, and his lottery number was ranked 97. So far he hasn't been contacted ever since he applied. And now they are seeing another lottery posted on Dahlia, and he applied again. He got a new lottery number. So shouldn't his first lottery first come, first served?
It really depends on the building. If you're on a wait list, then there shouldn't have been another lottery unless that wait list is exhausted. But if you are applying to the same building, it's most likely that is an inclusionary building and they have a lottery every time there's a vacancy. So if the unit was filled, then that lottery list is done, and then you have to apply to, that's it. And then when there's another vacancy, there is another lottery. So it really depends on the type of building. So keep in mind whether you're applying to a wait list. Normally, when you are applying to a wait list and you're on the wait list, they will email you or send you a letter letting you know that you're on the wait list and letting you know what number you are on the wait list. And if you didn't receive that, then that probably means that the list is exhausted. But for everybody who's out there and you're looking for housing right now, you should apply to everything you're eligible for to increase your chances of getting a unit. So it is, you do not have to just apply to one building. That's not how it works. You have to apply one time to each building you're interested in. So please apply often. Please apply to anything you're eligible in, and you do have a very good chance of getting contacted, because we just are constantly having units available, small sites units. Those are units in our preservation program. They're smaller buildings, they're older buildings, but they have affordable housing units. There's a very good chance of getting contacted for those buildings. They normally go through their entire list. So that's an option for you. And there's also our first come, first serve units that I talked about during our presentation. Those are on Dahlia as well. They're linked in Dahlia, and those units are available right now. So if you need a unit right now, those affordable housing units are on there as well.
Thank you. Another good question here, it's already answered by Colette, but I want to bring it up here. How about the income limit for the recertifying of the new lease? What if your income is more than the starting income limit? So according to the city, this is literally from the inclusionary menu. So within the first 12 months of occupying a BMR rental unit, the income of the BMR renter household cannot exceed the income level of the BMR rental unit when it was first rented. After the first 12 months of occupying a BMR unit, the income of the BMR renter household can increase up to maximum 175% AMI. So as long as your income does not go over 175% AMI, after 12 months of residing at the BMR unit, you'll be fine. Does work or live in San Francisco get a higher priority, and which one is a higher priority?
Great question. The live or work in San Francisco preference is equal. It's equal. It's one preference. So if you either live or work here, you have an equal amount of chance. And you're all put into one pool. The majority of people applying on Dahlia, over 90% of people do live or work in San Francisco, and they are in that preference. But if you live in the neighborhood, there's neighborhood preference for new buildings with 5 or more affordable units, and those you might have a higher chance in your actual neighborhood in the district. And the neighborhood is defined by the supervisory district you live in, or a half mile around the building. If there is that neighborhood preference, you definitely have a higher chance in the lottery. So that's another way that people kind of have a good chance of getting in, as we are building lots of new units all around San Francisco. It's it's being a little bit, neighborhood preference is being used a little bit more outside of right downtown where it first sort of started.
Will applicants who get selected through lottery be notified by email? So if a household is if they're selected for the lottery, the leasing agent will contact you through phone, email, and mailed letter.
And text message
Okay,
as well.
I didn't know
So
about that.
the housing counselors don't get contacted by text message, but the applicants do.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Zara asked, why are there no parking spaces for all affordable units?
Yeah, so it is at this time pretty rare for new buildings to have parking spaces in them. Most new affordable housing buildings and even market rate buildings don't come with parking. And that is because, we're transit first in San Francisco, and San Francisco's planning department and legislators and the mayor have really determined that housing is more important than parking. And so a lot of these buildings maximizing the amount of units that can be built in the building and foregoing parking. So that is the case with most new affordable housing. There's either very little parking or no parking at all. As you get further out of downtown into the Bayview and now into Treasure Island, that might be changing. But for the most part, most units have very little or no parking.
And someone asked, is there a way to have application fees waived, especially for low income people? As far as I know, I don't think application fees can be waived, but you can potentially apply for SFERAP. SFERAP stands for San Francisco Emergency Rental Assistance Program. They also provide move-in assistance. For example, if you need assistance for secure deposit or first month rent, SFERAP will be able to help you with that. But as far as for application fee, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Melissa, do you know?
The application fee is just to run credit and criminal background. And if you do have trouble coming up with the $20 to $50 per household member, you please let the leasing agent know, and they can try to get you some assistance through seasons of sharing to be able to cover the criminal credit and criminal background check. That is pretty common that that there is a charge for that. Senior buildings generally don't have a charge for that, but most family buildings do.
And someone asked, is $6,000 a month falls under the category of low income? I think when you apply for these BMR rental listings on Dahlia, they would tell you the income range. So you can see which one you're eligible for in terms of the income. And I don't know if there's a legit definition of low income according to the city.
There are definitions for very low income, moderate income, and middle income. Dahlia has units that are from low income all the way up to middle income, all the way up to 150% AMI. It's a one-stop shop. So there are units on there that go all the way up to 150% AMI, and that's not affordable for many people, but there are those middle income units that are much lower than the market rate units in the building. And so therefore, they are put on our website because they're coming to us from different city departments that have worked with those developers to have those units set aside. So yeah, I mean, they may not be low income units, but Dahlia kind of runs has a wide range of units, and they do go all the way up to middle income 150% AMI units.
Okay, seems like we don't have more questions in the chat. I think we have 5 minutes left. Yeah. So if any of you have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to Homeownership SF or one of the housing counseling agencies. So
Can we have the last slide up, please, with the contact information?
All right.
Okay, so
Which
if
one,
you,
Melissa?
yeah, this one's great, thanks. So if you have further questions regarding your housing situation, you can contact the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development at sfhousinginfo@sfgov.org. Again, many of us man that email account, and so we can get back to you with further information. If you have questions about your personal situation or need a housing counselor or need more resources, if you would like to see this presentation again or refer back to the slides, you can go to the Homeownership SF website at www.homeownershipsf.org. There's lots of resources there, as well as a link to the YouTube channel with a lot of the different information that we went over today. We were keeping it pretty high level as it is a workshop, but if you do have personal questions about your situation, we strongly encourage you to contact them directly.
Thank you so much for everyone for signing up for this webinar. It was a pleasure meeting all of you. And thank you, Melissa and Sherry and Colette, for your help. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to sfhousinginfo@sfgov.org, or you can visit homeownershipsf.org for additional assistance. So potentially we can connect you with one of the housing counselors to help you with whatever you need in terms of housing.